We're going to take a few minutes here. Remember in the past, we've had a bunch of our ministries come up and present what their teams are doing to help support the church. So today, we're going to take a few minutes and talk about worship ministry. So since I usually fumble over my words, I actually wrote some notes down. So no. I'll let you come up and sing it. No? No? All right, so Sherry is not allowed on the stage. From what Pastor Scott has said, I don't want to go against Pastor Scott's rules. All right, so for our ministry highlight, we just want to take a few minutes to talk about our worship ministry. As a worship team, we have a very important responsibility each and every Sunday morning. As a worship leader, it's my job to pick the songs each week, making my best effort to blend new songs and congregational favorites, and working with our pastors to choose music that ties into the message. Each member of this team not only shares a deep appreciation for the music, but also understands what we are up here to accomplish, to lead all of you in worship. So I want to give them a chance to say a few words on what being a part of this ministry means to them.
Well, you know me, I always write things down because I will absolutely fumble over my words. So I actually got bullied into joining the worship team by Dave at a board meeting, so that happened.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. But honestly, being a part of the worship team has really just demonstrated to me that worship is so much more than music. It's surrender. It's just changing from performance to a heart posture that is continually turning back to the Lord. And so I find that through worship, that's how I hear his voice most clearly. And so being able to help lead worship with all of you is just a gift. Thanks.
Okay, you know I make the noise. And I hope you appreciate it. No, I've been part of this worship team since its inception. And it's been a long time. But being up here and seeing and watching youth worship makes my heart every time that we do. I mean, it really does mean a lot. I've been part of a very good group a long time ago. These gang up here, they're awesome, and the heart is right. What Elise said is our heart is what we need to do because we know that the good Lord wants us to lead you into his presence. And by doing that, I think we please him very much. We are missing a few people. We have a lonely, very lonely base up here. It's been sad for a few years now, and we could certainly use somebody. Jason's son. No, but I heard he does play, so we're working on his younger son. No, I know better. I know. Unless Ace has something up her sleeve. But yeah, we would love to have, and being the oldest one up here doesn't mean, there's a lot of us out here would love to come up and sing with us. We're missing Patsy this morning because of her husband's been going through some tough stuff, so we hope she's listening and we're looking out. Oh, is she here? What are you doing back there? No, I'm just, I hope Jim's doing well, Patsy. Patsy, with our new member, it was so wonderful to have her come and be with us. So that's my wife. We just love doing what we do.
I didn't write anything down, and so this is off the cuff. But I've been with the worship quite as Ron, but Pastor Bowl came. I played today. You could be a gift for worship. Never heard.
For those who don't know me, my name's Frank. I'm the shy one on the team. And now it really is a gift to be able to come up and worship together. And we consider ourselves a small group, just like many of the other groups that get together on a weekly basis. We come together on Thursday nights most times. I'm usually the one that kind of messes that schedule up a little bit with different things going on. The flexibility of this team has been just to be able to accomplish that and the different things. But this is a team, but there are friends, they're family, and I can't imagine doing ministry without this group that's up here. Jason does just an awesome job. I know Micah didn't want to get up here this morning, but that kid over there's got some incredible talent. So we need to. I've been playing piano for most of my life, and I envy the talent that God has given him. If you don't know music, there's different ways to do music. You can either read what's on the page, which is what I do. I'm able to sight read. You take that music away from me, and I can barely do much. You take the music away from him, and he gets better. And so one of the awesome things about what we do here is I feel like we push each other each week and every time to grow and improve on our talents. And none of it has to do with any of it. It really has to do with our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And you guys are a part of the worship team, whether you realize it or not. Because when you're here and you bring an attitude of worship, you inspire and you encourage. So thank you for being a part of our team. With that being said, we're always looking for help. And before I say this next piece, can we give a round of applause to all of those who've participated with our audio and our video teams? And this is going to be a shout out to our youth ministry, because without our teens, there would not be sound on Sunday mornings. There would not be video. And Nate does a good job kind of corralling them back there. And again, you may not consider this part of worship, but Melanie every week is back there communicating online with those who attend on person. To our ushers that volunteer. I mean, this is more than just the people on the stage. It's the atmosphere that you experience on a weekly basis. And all these people, Tony and different ones that organize that group, it's all a part of worship. And so we're so grateful for that. So with that being said, we do always have room for more volunteers. Our sound booth, a great need. We're going to be losing Micah to Mount Vernon in the fall. We're going to be losing Taylor to Penn State in the fall. Anyone else back there that's graduating yet? Dylan is going to be going out to California at some point in the fall, I hope. No, we need help. And again, this is an area where we could use someone that could come out on Thursday nights and practice with us and kind of adjust the sound and get the video set up. Having a little bit of technology background helps a little bit, but we're willing to train. And so we'd encourage you to reach out to either Nate or Jason and just let us know if that would be an area, and we'll provide the training to help with there. Even if it's once a month or twice a month, we could really use that help. Ron already mentioned the bass guitar, and then, of course, with Micah leaving. I am getting older, so I do need to take breaks once in a while. I like to travel. I like to see the world. So we need someone to play piano. And so if that's a skill that you have, unfortunately, I'm not a great teacher, but if you want to learn how to play the piano, we can figure that out. Mike is going to do a better job with that. But if you play an instrument and you'd like to be a part of this team, we would encourage to have you. With that being said, we're grateful to be able to serve you each and every week. So God bless you. Let's worship together.
Ushers, you may go ahead and turn and receive. Children, you are dismissed, I think is how we normally do that. And the last thing I want to say is, so Pastor Macy should be behind me, right? Is she? Right? Okay. So I want to say, y'all didn't say yes, just laughed. I wasn't sure. So I want to say, first of all, thank you all for everyone who voted last week. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, for district assemblies and delegates for convention, all those things like that. We're excited about those coming up. We're electing a new DS this year. District Superintendent Carrie has moved on. If you didn't know that, you know that now, and a new one will be coming in the next couple of weeks. But there's something else that's going on the Friday night of District Assembly, which is 424, right? So April 24th. Pastor Macy has received, and we went through all of her interviews and everything she needs to do to be ordained, and so we're excited. Somehow, I knew that corner was going to get a little crazy, right? So we're excited about that. So if you can, on 424, on Friday night, she's being ordained, and it's just up at, Fairview Village, right? Fairview Village. Ignore that I said Lansdale. Fairview Village. If you can make it out Friday night, it's always a great service. It'd be a great opportunity to come and support her as well. They may stream it, I think. I don't know. They usually do. But if you could come and support her that night, there you go. Carpool services. She has a convertible. It carries one. She could open the trunk at 2. But if you can make it out, that would be a great opportunity to come and support Macy and celebrate that evening with her. So I told her just a little bit I was going to mention that. She probably didn't want me to, but we did it anyway. It's important. I wanted you guys to know. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Pastor Macy, for what you add to this body and what you mean to the kingdom and to this church. So.
Now it's awkward because y'all are talking at me, about me. I don't like it. But anyway, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful and beautiful Sunday morning. I am so grateful for the opportunity to share the word of the Lord with you. It's truly an honor. And as much as Scott mentioned that there's gratitude for me, I'm immensely grateful to serve here. I am immensely grateful for the opportunity to be a part of the kingdom of God as it's represented here in Birdsboro. And I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to preach. Not many associate pastors get the opportunities to preach as frequently as I do. And so I'm grateful both to Pastor Scott and to our church board for allowing me the opportunity to embrace my calling fully in ways that is a gift to me and hopefully a gift to the kingdom and a gift to the Lord. So thank you. I appreciate it. For those of you that have literally gone out of your way to say, hey, Pastor Macy, we haven't heard you preach in a while. Are you going to? Thank you. That's really nice. And I really appreciate hearing that. And then I'm just grateful for your support. But for those of you that have enjoyed hearing me less, welcome to your worst nightmare. I'm back. But in all seriousness, I have to make myself laugh or I'm going to just be uncomfortable. But in all seriousness, as much as I can talk about how much I love this church, we are in a series today that I've honestly just been so blessed by already in the last couple weeks. And it's called House Calls, as you can tell. And I don't know about you, like I said, I've absolutely loved this, and I'm excited to see how God continues to use it. We started this series by recognizing the season of Lent and recognizing what it's preparing us for. The season of Lent is intended to prepare our hearts for Easter. In the same way that Advent is intended to prepare our hearts for Christmas and for the birth of Jesus, this season is intended to help us slow down and to prepare our hearts for his death and resurrection. This season is intended to remind us that we are in desperate need of a Savior, to show us that the sacrifice made for us to know Jesus now and for eternity is a lofty one. And Pastor Scott continued that message by saying that before the public sacrifice was even made, we see a God that met with us. We see that Emmanuel, God with us, came to humanity to know us personally and intimately. And as we navigate this life with its hills and valleys, we lean on a God that is present with us through it. We can trust a God that visits with people, that made house calls while he experienced life as a human on earth. And last week, Pastor Scott brought us to the first of the many houses we're going to be talking about through this series. And that moment was when he called Matthew to be one of his disciples. And Matthew's natural and first and initial response was to bring his new life and his old life together in one place. To bring Jesus and all the friends that he has met from all of his other walks of life all together at one dinner table. And when Jesus' other disciples were approached by the Pharisees, people devoted to careful study and observance of the law, and they were asked, why would he eat with such scum? We learned something profound about Jesus and something entirely humble about humanity. We learned that Jesus walks into homes, sits at tables, builds relationships with people that need him, whether they realize it yet or not. People that desperately need his saving and his redeeming. Not just people that pursue fragile holiness, like the Pharisees. But the humbling truth about humanity that we learned was that we are all in desperate need of him. The entirety of humanity is sick and the divine physician, Jesus, has come to bring healing to us. Friends, God with us has come to us, sitting across from us at the dinner table, to offer hope, to offer radical transformation and redemption, to offer grace and relationship, to offer the opportunity to be fully known and fully loved. Now, don't get out of your seats yet because I'm not done. There's still so much more to cover, because that sounded pretty good, but no. Because today, our story takes us to another person's home. And I think God can offer so much to us through this specific story if we open our hearts to it. Now, I'm going to be transparent. This isn't in my notes. I'm going to be transparent and say that I talked to my Tuesday night small group about this, and I was like, I have no idea how to preach over 2 verses. We're about to find out. So today, our story actually consists of 2 parts. And so if you would join me in joining our story and reading our story together from Luke chapter 4, verses 31 to 37. If you're not sure where to find that, if you would like to follow along, Luke is like almost 3/4 of the way through your Bible, but it's the third book of the New Testament, so Matthew, Mark, Luke. And then hopefully you'll be able to find chapter 4 as you flip the pages, because there's going to be a big 4 on the page. And then you just have to scroll down to 31. Pretty simple. But again, if you need help, or if you are new to this church and you don't really know who to ask for help, just lean to the person to your right or to your left. Hopefully they'll be able to help you to find it if you would like to follow along physically with me. But if not, again, and if you're new to this church and unfamiliar, I'm going to have all the passages up on the screen anyway, so all is well. But with that being said, hopefully you found enough time, if you would like to follow along, to get to Luke chapter 4, verses 31 to 37, and they read. Then Jesus went to Capernaum, a town in Galilee, and taught there, this is driving me, and taught there, in the synagogue every Sabbath day. There too, the people were amazed at his teaching, for he spoke with authority. Once he was in the synagogue, a man possessed by a demon, an evil spirit, cried out, shouting, "Go away! Why are you interfering with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." But Jesus reprimanded him. "Be quiet, come out of the man," he ordered. At that, the demon threw the man to the floor as the crowd watched. Then it came out of him without hurting him further. Amazed, the people exclaimed, "What authority and power this man's words possess! Even evil spirits obey him, and they flee at his command." The news about Jesus spread through every village in the entire region. This has been the word of the Lord. Thank you. And I know what some of you may be thinking. Pastor Macy, what kind of house call is this? Girlfriend, do you even understand this series? Yes. Extend a little bit of trust to me, I promise. We're going to get there. But again, we're in part 1 of this 2-part story. And in part 1, we're in a very public setting. We are in the synagogue on the Sabbath. And Jesus would do this frequently as he would teach, right? And initially, this seems like any other normal day. Initially, it seems like any other normal Sabbath day among the people of God. They've gathered together to worship, hear teaching, to be surrounded by fellow believers intentionally. This is a choice that they made, a choice they made every single week. Much like what we're doing today. Much how like we fill the very seats in this room every week. Expecting pretty much the same. Come into the Lord's house, to worship, hear the word, to fellowship, to be sent. Just like that. There's something else happening in this story. Just beneath it. In fact, kind of like right under their nose. Jesus walks in like he would any other Sabbath, and there's already a stirring. There's already intrigue and excitement, and maybe even some anticipation. They've all already heard about Jesus before. This text even makes it sound like in Capernaum that they've heard his teaching, and they were amazed. He speaks with such authority, they say. have to wonder where this authority comes from. And they have to be wondering who this Jesus guy really is. The subtle stirring doesn't stop. Something else happens. Slowly but surely rising to the surface. He walks into the synagogue like any other Sabbath. And immediately the anticipation and subtle rumbling breaks through the surface, and he's spotted, sitting face to face with someone that immediately calls him the Holy One of God. But not in the way we would expect. Verse 33. Once he was in the synagogue, a man possessed by a demon, an evil spirit, cried out, shouting, "Go away! Why are you interfering with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Almost like it was spit right back. And can you imagine what that would be for the people standing around and watching? They've noticed Jesus. They've noticed his teaching before. They've noticed the authority that he spoke. But something just blew up in their house of worship. It's brought to their attention that evil's ambassador is literally walking among them. They had no idea. If I had to guess, this isn't what they signed up for. Right? If I had to guess, they probably walked into the synagogue thinking it was any other Sabbath. They walked in thinking that they were going to experience the same thing they experienced week after week. Just like we walked in. They were going to come in and they were going to worship. They were probably going to perform some ritual prayers. They were going to listen to teachings, and they were going to go home being reminded of God's faithfulness to them through the law. Like any other normal day. It sounds great. What they don't fully know yet is that while the ambassador of evil is literally walking among them in their midst, the source of all goodness is standing in the doorway. And they're about to watch a fight literally break out between good and evil happen right before their very eyes. Verse 35, but Jesus reprimanded him. "Be quiet, come out of the man," he ordered. At that, the demon threw the man to the floor as the crowd watched. Then it came out of him without hurting him any further. So in this tense moment that no one could have expected or anticipated, the people of God see Jesus use this authority that they were already amazed by to rebuke this demon. Evil again has lost. Amazed, the people exclaimed, "What authority and power this man's words possess! Even evil spirits obey him, and they flee at his command." In this story, we see public example of the very power and authority of Jesus. The people of God are just beginning to see the truth that we already know, friend. Jesus speaks with the authority of God because he is Emmanuel, God with us. And if you hear nothing else from part one of our story today, I need you to hear this. Same holy God that filled the temple with glory and power, just like we've already talked about in this series, is now using that power to speak his authority over evil as it walks among the people of God. And in this moment in the synagogue, we see literally this cosmic battle play out, and it leaves a deep impact on this community. 37, the news about Jesus spread through every village in the entire region. And in Mark's account of this same story, because this same story is actually found in 3 of the 4 gospel accounts. In Mark's account, this same story said that amazement gripped the people. Like, amazement could not help but fall on their shoulders, and they carried it around with them everywhere they went. Because that's what they saw. They were in absolute awe of the power and authority of Jesus. And they left walking around. Hey, did you hear what happened today at the synagogue? Were you there? Were you sitting as close as I was? Because, whoa, what did we just see? Who is this guy? Who is Jesus? Did you hear about what he did? I'm telling you, I literally watched it happen before my eyes. I know I sound crazy, but this one guy yelled, and then Jesus said something, and then this happened, and I don't even fully understand what I saw. I mean, it literally happened right here in front of me, right on the floor. I mean, you should have seen it. Jesus said, "Get out." This guy literally fell on the ground. I watched the spirit leave his body. Who is this guy? Why can he cast out demons? How can he cast out demons? Where does this authority come from? Who is this man? There are some people who didn't. There were some people that weren't sharing in the amazement. There were some people that didn't get to the synagogue. This leads us to part 2 of our story. While there are people out running from one village to the next, spreading their amazement with anyone that would listen as far and as wide as they could take it, Jesus makes his way somewhere. Everyone else is trying to share Jesus and share this message. Did you see this guy? Did you see what he did? I was there. I don't understand it. Where does this authority come from? But instead, Jesus makes his way somewhere. Finds his way to a woman's bed. Chapter 4, verse 38. After leaving the synagogue that day, Jesus went to Simon's home, where he found Simon's mother-in-law very sick with a high fever. "Please heal her," everyone begged. So Jesus, after making a very large and public display of his power, after literally being the influence of a battle between good and evil, he leaves in quiet need. He draws no further attention. And for whatever unknown reason, makes his way to his disciple, Simon Peter's house. Very private and intimate. And what he sees when he gets there is sickness. He's met with the knowledge of a woman, Peter's mother-in-law. He's met with the knowledge that this woman has a high fever, and the people surrounding her are begging for her. And I don't know about you, but in my bedroom when I'm sick is a private and intimate space that I don't need people to be a part of. I'm good. I feel like death. I probably look like death. I'm uncomfortable. I don't even want to be there. I certainly don't want another person there. I'm good. Those moments, sickness and pain and discomfort, those aren't really ones that I desire to. I think a number of us probably feel the same way. I'm really hoping that you can sense the vast difference between the two settings of part 1 and part 2 of our story. That in part 1, we see this big and loud and incredibly public event, a battle between all things good and all things evil, and in the next, something quiet, seemingly. Now, friends, you may be reading this and may be thinking, fever, take some ibuprofen. But medicine back then was archaic. They didn't have the technology and research that we have today. And for a woman her age, a fever was like a death sentence. And so while everyone else on the Sabbath was desiring to participate in worship and the teaching of the law, this family was home, waiting, hoping, maybe praying, sitting in quiet desperation. Have you been there before? Maybe in your own medical health journey. What are we going to do? How am I supposed to heal? I have X, Y, Z other things going on in my life. What's even wrong with me? Doctors don't seem to know. They can't answer any of my questions. I keep showing up to them with question, and I keep hoping for answers, and I'm led with more questions, and I don't know what to do. And no one else seems to be as frustrated by this as I am. And no one else seems to be as just entirely downtrodden and discouraged about this as I am. I'm tired. What's even wrong? Maybe it's the medical journey of a loved one. Am I going to make it? What kind of tests are there to run? Are they invasive? Are they uncomfortable? How much time is this treatment process going to take? What kind of medication do I have to help administer? Do I have to help administer? What's hospice care? What does that mean? How am I supposed to help? Maybe there's other dark. Maybe there's a situation that you're in that you can't imagine your way out. Maybe you're suffering through poor mental health and you're just unsure how to hold on or what hope to have. Maybe you're in a season where you're asking God a whole lot of questions and getting a whole lot of nothing in return. Maybe you're struggling through sin issues and you're unsure how to break those patterns in your life. Friends, do you relate to this quiet desperation? These things that sit heavy on your heart, but you may not say out loud to another person, things that sit heavy on your heart and you're not even sure how to tell another person. Things that sit heavy on your heart and you just do not have the energy to do anything with it. Because this is your reality. Boy, have I been there. But now, you've hopefully placed yourself into part 2 of our story. You can find yourself either lying in this bed or sitting in the chair surrounding that family member, that loved one. Some things that I want you to do. Now that you're in the story, I want you to hear some realities that happen. First, these 2 moments, this demon-possessed man and the rising fever of this woman, almost happening at the same time. While this family is home and caring for and worrying over their family member, Jesus is in the synagogue casting out demons. And this intense cosmic battle between good and evil is happening all while this woman is suffering. This same God, full of power and authority, shows up to Simon's mother-in-law with kindness, presence, and compassion. Very same God, the very same day. Second, for whatever reason, they don't go to Jesus first to ask for healing. The reason for this isn't really made clear, but in my mind, I would ask questions like, well, why wouldn't they? Especially if we're talking about Simon Peter. Wouldn't he know that Jesus could offer healing? Wouldn't he know that that's the first line of defense? You think it sounds obvious. Is it? think it sounds obvious. I think it sounds obvious, but how often is it? And the third thing I want you to hear from this part 2 of this story, that I hope offers you encouragement, is that as much as we think it's obvious to go to your first line of defense, Jesus, first person I talked to, as much as it seems obvious, as much as they didn't, the reality is, in this moment, they didn't have to. Jesus, even amidst the chaos, defeating evil in the synagogue and the news of it being spread across the entire village and surrounding villages, chose to approach Simon's home. He made the first move. The God of all glory and power approaches a situation of quiet desperation without hesitation. Friends, how often is this? How often do we feel like God has so many other things going on that we just don't want to bother him with our requests? How often do we try to deny God the opportunity to walk into our moments of quiet desperation, even though he is fully present and entirely pursuing us the entire time, whether we like it or not? How often do we lie in our beds waiting for life to happen to us, having pity parties, when the one and only holy God, more powerful than we could ever believe, is at our disposal? How often do we worry that God cannot redeem the situation, darkness, or even sin that we have going on in our own lives? Verse 39 says, standing at her bedside, he rebuked the fever, and it left her. And she got up at once and prepared a meal for them. The same language that was used in this big and powerful moment, a rebuking, happens in this private, personal, and intimate. The same power, the same authority, and the same God from one moment to the next. In an act of compassion, Jesus uses the same power and authority to heal Simon's mother-in-law of her fever. But I want you to notice something specific. Jesus doesn't just make her feel better. He doesn't just offer a spiritual ibuprofen. He brings complete and total restoration. He brings complete and total restoration. And how do we know this? What does she do after she's healed? She serves. Immediately. Without hesitation. You can start making. This encounter with Emmanuel, God with us, has brought transformation to this woman who is previously living in quiet desperation. Who is previously living at the end of her life, at the end of her ropes, who is surrounded by people also in quiet desperation, maybe less quiet, but quiet, begging and pleading for her healing. We've said it once already in this series, but I'm going to say it again. Someone that's had an encounter with Jesus cannot help but live. So what? Why does that matter? First, I want you to know. I want you to know and trust that Jesus, the all-powerful God, is the divine healer. Jesus, time and time again through his ministry, has shown that he can heal physical ailments through his own authority. And today, we also trust that while he absolutely can do miracles as long as whatever he wants to, we also trust that he can offer healing through medicine. He is the divine healer, no matter what source we'd like to get it from. Happy to have him. And God is gracious. But today's passage in Luke also reminds us that he is in the business of bringing full and complete restoration, redemption, and transformation. Our lives cannot remain the same after an encounter with Jesus. Second, I want you to know that Jesus and his transformation is faithful to meet you in your moments of quiet desperation. Jesus is faithful to meet us in the situations that we don't want to talk about, the situations that we have anxiety over, the situations that we've lost all hope in. We don't have to wait on Jesus to show up. He is already present in our hurt and our confusion. He's at our bedside with his hand on our forehead. Third, service is the natural result of a heart transformed by Jesus. We can live empowered to serve our redeeming God and his people. Friends, we all have these moments. We all have these moments where all hope seems lost, where darkness feels like it's won, where sickness and brokenness has reared its ugly head, and I just want to encourage you today. We serve a God that sees you, your life, and your circumstances, the things that you don't even want in your life, and meets you where you are. Meets you in your quiet but honest desperation. Hi, God. Lord, thank you for who you are. Lord, you are more holy and more powerful than we could ever ask or even imagine. Lord, there is no world in which you are not supreme and sovereign over all things. There's not a world in which you are not the greatest of the great. There's no world where you are not King of all kings and Lord of all lords. There's no world in which you are not the creator of all things. And that same God still chooses to meet with us at our bedside. And that same God still chooses to meet with us across dinner tables. And that same God still chooses to meet with us in our brokenness. Still chooses to meet with us in our quiet desperation. When we're unsure where to turn or what to do or where to go, Lord, you are entirely faithful. And God, thank you is not a big enough word for that. Lord, you are gracious and you are kind to be present with us, even when we don't recognize you as our first line of defense. Lord, you are present to be gracious. You're gracious to be present with us because you are a God that desires to know us completely and intimately. And Lord, I can't thank you enough that my heart is forever changed because I know you. And I can't help but thank you enough that my life is better when it's yours. And so, God, I surrender my own quiet desperation in hopes that our entire congregation is doing the same. Trusting that you are exactly who you say you are. You are the same God in the moment of creation. You are the same God that is casting out demons in the synagogue and then walks across the street to someone's bedside. You are that same God. And you are worthy of our praise, and you are worthy of our devotion, and you are worthy of our trust. Lord, our lives are yours. It is a season where we are remembering that we are in desperate need of a Savior. But friends, we didn't just need a Savior once, we need him every day. We need him in every moment. In our moments of quiet desperation, in our moments of joy, we are in desperate need of Jesus and who he is. I hope to see you again next week on-site or online at 10 a.m. You're loved.